Drivers, start your engines.
There you heard it, folks, from Dr. Dick Bergen himself, starting the engines tonight at Homestead, Miami, Florida, for one of the rounds here in the playoffs. We're in the second race of 3 of the second cutoff, down to trying to find the final 4 racers for the championship race at Phoenix coming up in 3 weeks from now. But until then, we got to deal with the high banks, high race track here of Homestead, Miami, Florida. I am Scott Patton, of course, joining the booth with Ken Huber. How's it going out there out west, Ken?
It is going great out here, but it's great to be back on the East Coast, down in southern Florida, down in Miami this afternoon, evening, as we're about to start qualifying. I'm kind of really excited about this race. This is the second of 3. I think next week we're at Martinsville, and so we've had a couple of mile-and-a-half tracks here. Miami's kind of unique. I kind of enjoy Miami because it doesn't have a tri-oval, so it's one of those few tracks that are set up like that. I kind of enjoy the fact that it's kind of like the old Atlanta, quite not the banking, but 2 corners that are basically the same on each end, and the line is variable here too, so kind of excited to see this race.
I have to agree with that. I think when you talk about racetracks that are the most racy, if that's a word, but racy on the circuit, high line, low line, middle line, I think Homestead, Miami, Florida comes to mind for sure. We saw that a lot in the Cup race over the weekend, and it's no different here in iRacing. Here in the multi-league, where qualifying has just gotten underway here. 5-minute session. We are 1 minute in, 4 minutes left here. Top of the board, no surprise during practice. Was, you got any guesses, Ken?
It's not Justin Michael?
Oh, yeah, it is. 12 wins on the season. Justin Michael was top of the board in practice here.
Yeah, Justin Michael. So here's something interesting too, Scott. We had about it during practice. It was sunny and about 120 degree track temperature. Now we're looking at about 110 degree track temperature as they head out for qualifying. So big swing. We got cloud cover right now for qualifying. So this is going to bring up those lap times as well.
Yeah, certainly should be. If you're in the chat there tonight, let us know who you're rooting for here at Homestead. Who's your favorite driver? If you're related to somebody, but we'll like to hear who you're pulling for here at Miami.
Yeah, so while we're waiting for these guys to qualify, why don't we go over the point system or the point standings right now, Scott?
There you go. Yeah.
So currently in the lead, no surprise here. Justin Michael got quite an outstanding lead here as we're the second to the last race before the playoff race. Jeffrey Merck back there, called Hurricane Merck tonight. That's his handle for the car, but he's out there running in second place. Wesley Holland's grabbing that third spot right now in the points, trying to hold on. Werner Margheim, fan favorite, as Scott likes to call him, sitting there tied with Wesley Holland right now. So interesting. Both these guys are tied for third. Rod Minton out there in 5th. So these guys are starting to get towards that bubble. Billy Bumgarner had a great start last week, I believe, but kind of fell back later in the race. He's in 6th. James Hearns, the Canadian, is out there in 7th. And Charles Widener, who I believe we have a camera of tonight, and hopefully we'll get to talk to him tonight, but he's in 8th. So he's on the risk of falling outside that for the final race there that will be at Phoenix.
That it is. There's your top 8. We're going to narrow it down to 4 after next week's race at, where are we going next week? Martinsville, short track racing. We're going to cut it down to 4 drivers at that point. Unfortunately, not like the Cup Series, the actual NASCAR Cup Series. Tonight in multi-league racing, a win does not lock you in, so you do have to point your way in. Some of those top contenders are pretty well on their way. As you notice, all those win stickers on top of the board there with Justin Michael, Jeff Mark, and Wes Holland. How are we doing in qualifying? Justin Michael, top of the board, 33.127. Greg Mall, his teammate from Bandit Motorsports, 33.241. And there's your boy there, Ken, Johnny Hamby in 3rd.
Yeah, Johnny Hamby having a great qualifying session thus far. He's been working really hard this year to get those speeds up on the ovals. Quite an accomplished road racer, but now we see him in 3rd currently, so that'll make things exciting. Christopher Campbell in 4th with a 33.3, almost tied Hamby there, a couple tenths off, and Charles Widener rounding out that top 5.
Should be a good one tonight as we got 1 minute left here in qualifying before we grid them up.
Yeah, so Scott, what's your take on Miami? We talked a little bit about it. We kind of like the multiple groove. I remember in the old days when Miami was a flat track, it was almost like a bigger version of Milwaukee. I really enjoyed it then, but they didn't tear it up too bad with progressive banking and the fact that you can run a couple of different lines here. What's your thoughts?
Certainly, I ran a couple of races throughout the week. Now I got my race rig figured back out, so we ran some races during the week and found out that that Highline is kind of the way to be. But I will admit, too, though, I think I did the B-Race Xfinity cars, so I don't think I've raced the next-gen cars. But I spotted in on some drivers throughout the week, and I think there may be shifting involved here from 4th gear to 5th gear, which should be interesting for all the drivers pick up on that. Should maybe affect fuel mileage, which also tends to be a big factor here at a green flag racetrack such as Miami.
Yeah, and I was looking at some of the drivers during practice. I only seen a couple guys shifting. People like Justin Michael, now he might have been practicing his fuel-saving techniques after last week. He pretty much was keeping it in 5th gear during practice, although I didn't watch all his laps, but I was watching some of the guys. So it looks like we have all the cars off the track. 13 was the last one to clear the track, and that was Matt Rodoloso. He ended up qualifying in 7th, but I'll let you bring up the starting grid there, Scott.
We'll see what we got here for the starting grid. Just give me one quick second here. All kinds of screens and stuff to deal with this week.
I know the feeling.
12 will get you a drive through.
Meanwhile, our race admins are going through the drivers' meeting, getting guys squared away at what they need to do tonight to keep it clean, keep it green, and hopefully we can get that done. So I see the stats are up right now.
Here we go. Justin Michael on the pole, like we said. Give me 1 second here. This music is a bit loud. Sorry about that, folks. Justin Michael, Greg Mull, Johnny Himbe, we talked about on 3rd. Christopher Campbell in 4th. Charles Widener, we've got a camera on tonight, running out the top 5. Justin Michael from out in Des Lodge, Missouri, running 6. Matt Rodoloso, good to see him out here. Running, looks like he's got the 2-digit number. Not sure how long he's had that, but nice to see him out there in the 13 car. Eric Talent from Georgia in 8th, Jeff Gilmore in 9th, and Rod Mitten, who we I think he made a comment about the cameras. I'm not sure if we have a camera on him, but running out the top 10 with 33.504.
Yeah, and in 11th, we got Steve Cigars will start that 016 car in that spot. Andre Savala will start in 12th. Jack Watts will start in 13th. Wally Turheimer, I believe we have a camera for tonight. He will start in 14th. Calvin Miller will start in 15th. Wesley Holland will start in 16th. Boy, Wesley is really struggling with qualifying this year. I don't know if that's his plan, but really struggling there. And then Hurricane Merck will start in 17th. And then the next few guys did not take a qualifying lap there. It looks like Billy Bumgarner will start in 18th, Christopher Davis 19th, and James Hearns rounds out your top 20.
There it is, I'm showing 22nd here. Trent Drum, 23rd, Joe Marks, Vernon Margheim, Jason Hughes, Dave Schreck, JJ Garrett in 27th. There's John Stepanich in 28th. Kerry Cleaver from Inverness, Florida in 29th on 69 car. And John Henderson rounding out the top 30. Big field here from Houston, Texas. And that, I believe, is that all you're showing on the starting grid, Ken?
That is correct, Scott. As the pace car rolls off, bring these cars out on the track here as these guys get the tires warmed up, get ready to go. Greg Mull on the outside so far right now. Staying on the track. Just Michael on the inside on the apron there as we roll them off the grid.
There it is. 1 lap to green here. See some of those cars taking the inside, the pit road exit lane. That will be required when these guys take a pit stop to use that access road on the inside of turn 1 and 2. However, entering pit road, they can jump down right on the exit of turn 4 without using the access road that runs through the inside of turn 3 and 4. So
I noticed this. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Scott, but I was just noticing the 70 car of Johnny Hamby out there in a new paint scheme. He finally isn't using the iRacing default. He's out there in the John Deere, and I can appreciate that.
Look at that. A little John Deere action there for the 70 of Johnny Hamby.
And Greg Mull's out there in the Miller Unfortunate car, and he should be in the fertilizer car with that John Deere back there.
That would make sense. I don't think they had much of a conference here before they started here. Chose paint jobs for the week. Nonetheless, I believe it's race number 35 on the season, the Stone River Outfitters Cup Series here at Homestead, Florida. In the Geico restart zone, there's the green flag. We are racing. Justin Michael brings him down, leading into turn 1 side by side with Greg Mull.
Yeah, they both get a great start there. Scott, maybe Justin was a little slow, but I think his teammate, the 7 car, just let him slip in on the bottom there. Meanwhile, just behind them, we got Johnny Hamby and Christopher Campbell there going side by side, that John Deere and Tabasco car out there, red and green. And then that Tabasco is going to get the advantage going into 3 here and kind of tuck into that preferred line right at the moment.
There it is, further back in the pack here. Looks like some side-by-side battling. I want to say Michael Milfeld and Jack Watts trying to figure out where they belong here. Who's that in the Fritos car? The 16 car of Steve Seagar's new paint job trying to mess us up here in the booth. Rod Mitten taking that bottom lane. Looks like that bottom lane, at least through traffic, looks to be the fast lane to go right now. As Jack Watts gets loose off of turn number 2.
Oh.
Spins down the backstretch, locks it up, tries to stay off that wall. He does. Maybe hopefully keeps it rolling here. Yeah. There he goes. Gets it going righted, and Jack Watts with a tough break there, but does a nice job without bringing out the yellow flag.
Yeah, get that thing back out there and try not to go a lap down. You could save this race. Meanwhile, back up front here, I'm looking at our side-by-side battles right now. We got, looks like Jeff Gilmore working on the inside of that 13 car, Matt Rotoloso right there.
It's back for 7th spot, it looks like. Miller High Life car making some moves here.
Got those 2 Camaros and then that 5 car and that Mustang. Eric Talent back there putting some pressure on both those guys, trying to follow the fastest guy through, and he will. Gets underneath Matt Rotoloso down there on the bottom, follows Jeff Gilmore through that hole. Looks like he's going to gain that position.
Look a little bit further back. There's Michael Milfeld wrestling with Rod Mitten, who just clips the apron, drifts about a lane and a half high there, almost gets into the right or the left panel of Steven Seagar's there, picking up some Fritos.
Yeah, and speaking of the Fritos car, you see that Stone River Outfitters car. Hurricane Merc out there trying to run his way back up to the front here. So he's had a pretty solid start to the season. He had Kim Quick, our league administrator, fill in for him for a couple of races. Kim did a good job. Now Merc is out there. 3rd in points right now, I believe, if I recall, or 2nd in points. I have to take a look at that again.
I believe
he's 2nd.
He's 2nd in points with 7 wins on the season.
Yeah, been doing a killer job out here in the playoff races. He was a little frustrated last week, was a fuel mileage race. And he was kind of complaining during the driver interview, if you remember there, about having to pedal that thing all race, and while Justin Michael pulled away with it. But I'm sure he's going to remember that as he works his way towards the front. Working on the inside of Michael Milfeld Jr. in that 155 Federated Auto Parts machine, and he gets the position away from Michael Milfeld Jr. now working on Rod Mitten and Matt Rotoloso.
Up front, looks like a change for the lead. Greg Mall in the Miller Unfortunate car. Looks like he took the lead there with the pink rims, supporting Cancer Awareness Month here, multi-league. Justin Michael was the leader there, but may have something maybe backed off here a little bit for tire strategy, fuel mileage. Speaking of fuel mileage, I'm not sure exactly what the fuel window is tonight. Do you have any ideas, Ken?
I think it's about 30 to 32 laps, Scott, when I just did a, 10-lap run out there just to see what the cars were like. But that's what I was showing.
All right, that could be a really interesting number, 32. If you make that a 3-stop race, that brings you to, if my math is right, 96 laps.
Oh, we got a wreck. Jeffrey Merck came down on, looks like Rod Mitten. That's what it looked. I'll have to go back and look at that, but we're under caution.
Oh, yellow flag is out for Hurricane Merck down the backstretch. We'll cue this up and see if we can tell exactly what happened here.
Yeah, it looks like Merck was holding his line there, but I'll let you bring that up. Just Merck wasn't up against
I don't know if the replays are going to be working tonight. Some reason the loop deck is not cooperating tonight, so we may be limited on our replays, but...
Yeah, it looks like Merck... geez. Well, I'm just looking at it right now, Scott. I'm just talking about it. It looks like Merck just moved down a little bit. He wasn't up against the wall there on the backstretch, and Rod Mitten was there, and Rod Mitten didn't pull down, and it hooked him, and he went around. I don't think there's any damage on that car, but it's going to need some tires and some fuel now. I imagine everybody will head to pit lane.
Certainly everybody. Lap 8 on the board. First caution out for the night. Let's follow the action down a pit road.
There you have it. Greg Mall leading them to pit road here. Let's see if everybody can hit their stalls cleanly. Oh, just behind them back there in 6. Jeff Gilmore almost gets into another driver trying to get onto pit lane there. And I hear Jeff Gilmore apologizing to whoever that close call was there. So we got some stuff going on in the chat. Justin Brown giving a shout out to Justin Michael, rooting for Justin Michael out there. Well, that's an easy pick. And Justin Michael's away. I think that was either a no tire stop or a 2-tire stop. I wasn't really watching it there. Greg Mall looks like he's taking all 4, and he's going to give up a ton of positions right now. He might be the loser, the biggest loser of that.
Wow,
that pit
just
stop
coming
there.
off the pit road there, and the Miller and Fortune car, yeah, lost, I would say, 7 or 8 spots at least.
And Shelly Mull is out there rooting Greg on tonight. And we also got Holland Sr. out there. Hey, good evening to you, sir.
We got Lance Ackerson there. Not sure who Lance is, new to the chat, but welcome, Lance. As Justin, he wants Justin to help out Wally a little bit. I don't know if Wally needs some help, but where's Wally running? I'm showing back in 20th spot right now. Dutch Bros Ford Mustang.
Yeah, so he's lost about 4 positions since the race started, though. He might be timing it. So here we are. I'm trying to remember, Scott, last week that first caution fell. We only had 1 caution last week, if I remember. And I think we had the same number of laps, and the fuel was about the same, too. So, you know, hopefully we don't get into another fuel mileage race. You know, it's going to set Mr. Merck off if it is.
Yeah, we got the frustrated interview from Merck last week saying how much he hates racing fuel mileage races, but it's kind of the reality and part of a potential championship here. Part of the puzzle.
I'm looking here. I imagine you got some data up there, Scott. Bernard Margheim, did he pit or did he stay out? Because he is our current leader.
Vernon stayed out. 0 pit stops. 10 laps on his tires.
Yeah, and I noticed Wesley Holland is now catching back up. Wesley Holland's actually on pit lane. I have to see what's going on there. I wonder if he's just topping it off. I bet that's what he's doing. So he's going to start this last car on the lead lap. Imagine he gets that fuel there. I can't even talk tonight. That car topped off with fuel. Not sure. Maybe he's got some damage on that car. Something happened to Wesley Holland. I see the front end getting beat out on that car.
He could have been involved potentially with that wreck of Jeff Merck on the backstretch. Again, I apologize, folks, for the replays, the lack thereof. Something we will definitely get fixed here, but nonetheless, Wes Holland back underway here, championship contender. I'm sure frustrated off pit road with some right front damage.
So we're getting them too wide here. Our new leader has chosen the outside lane. So Vernon Margheim will start him from the outside. Justin Michael on his inside in that 87 Beretta machine. Christopher Campbell in the 124 will start in third. Charles Widener will start fourth on his outside. On his inside there, Matt Rodoloso. And then Rod Mitten rounds out your top 6.
Here we are on the back side of Wally, or I'm sorry, not Wally, Vernon Margheim's car. Sounds like he's clutching a little bit, maybe down the backstretch trying to save fuel, as I'm sure he's going to be in a predicament if it were to go green from here. Not sure if it's kind of an interesting strategy this early in the race, I guess.
So Lance Axerson, Mom, Martha, way to go, Wally. Or Wally, go. I think I'm going to need some more Guinness tonight, I think is what the problem is there, Scott. Well,
Right.
just loosens me up a little bit.
I
And
might need some too here.
now you decided to put more faces on YouTube. All right, pace cars ducking into pit lane as they hit the Geico restart zone in their way. Vernon Margheim gets a great start there on the outside, trying to pull Charles Widener on the outside with him. Can't quite get it done. They go 1, 2, 3 there with Justin Michael in the middle.
Big hornet's nest behind Justin Michael as he closes in on Vernon Margheim up ahead, looking back at Charlie Widener, like you said, in the Tabasco car of Christopher Campbell, I believe that is. That's the Tabasco car, I think.
Yeah, that's correct there, Scott. Oh, and Christopher Campbell, if you had the cameras on him, almost got in the back of Charles Widener there. Kind of greased that car in there. The cars are a little unstable the first couple of laps to get a feel for them. And then behind them, we got the 13 car, Matt Rodoloso, trying to get a run on the outside of the 92. Can't quite get it done. That's going to allow the 155, Michael Melfelt Jr. back there in about 6th or 7th. We're under caution. I'm looking for where that's at, Scott, but I don't see anything.
I have lap number 13. Hurricane Merck may have had an issue. Let's back the camera up here. On the outside of Christopher Davis, it looks like. Maybe chooses to go 3 wide. Comes up there and... I don't see any incident, though. Up there he is. Sideways in turn 1. As they just slow down here. There goes Merck to the outside wall. Ouch, that's going to be costly here with no faster pairs.
Yeah, that was a big hit. Tough break for Jeffrey Merck. Second in points. Definitely not the night he's wanted to start this thing off with. You know what they say, Scott, when it rains, it pours, and it's raining tears out there in the Merck camp right now.
That it is for sure. Who do we want to talk to? Do you want to try this new video feature here for the first time?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
What about Charlie down there? Let's make sure he's not going to make a pit stop, but if he stays out here, he fixed the pit road in the 95, and I think he's going to stay out here. We'll get a...
He does.
Yeah. All right, Ken, here's Charlie Widener running in third spot for right now.
Hey, Charlie. Myself and Scott in the booth here. How's your race going tonight?
It's going pretty good. I really wouldn't mind having these shorter runs because I'm not sure how I'm going to be on the long run, but going pretty good so far.
Yeah, you're looking really strong out there. You got the 124 of Christopher Alley. Looks like he's putting on, or Christopher Campbell, he's putting on quite a bit of pressure there in the early laps. I thought he was going to get in the back of you there. Are you? Is he making you a little nervous back there?
Yeah, kind of. I'm doing easy in and then doing hard off, and he's doing the opposite of that. I'm afraid he's going to get in the back of me. He's made me nervous a couple times, but so far he's been pretty clean.
So what's your experience here at Miami? Do you like this place? Like I said, you're running third right now. How's it going tonight?
I like this place when it was a high groove track. This bottom groove stuff is kind of rough, but I mean, I'm trying to adapt, and I'm just trying to take it easy, stay behind these fast guys, learn from them, and have a good race.
All right, well, we'll send you back to your team, and thanks for talking to us, and enjoy your presence there on YouTube with the new camera system that Scott set up tonight.
Right. If we have any more cautions, feel free to come back.
All right.
There it is, Charles Widener. That worked pretty slick. A couple little bugs, but first time, I'd say not so shabby. I took all of our overtime money, Ken, that we've been earning over the past couple weeks, and I put it straight back into time and effort trying to get these cameras running. I think it's kind of a cool feature. Glad to see you guys actually participating in that.
Reinvest in the company. That's pretty nice. So we're about a lap and a half away from going green here. There was a couple guys that headed to pit lane. I want to say it was Michael Melfelt Jr. and a few others looking to top off those cars. I didn't catch them all. We were in driver interviews, but Michael Melfelt Jr. is one of those guys that was running up front. He comes out 19th behind the 12 car of Trent Drum. Trent Drum out there in a new car. It looks like Chevy Liners. I don't think I've seen that car before. Back there running in 18th.
It's kind of a sharp-looking car as it comes to pit road again here. Chevy Liners number 12. Looks like an AJ Allmendinger paint. I saw AJ's name on the roof there.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that's to top these cars off. These guys, the last couple of races, though, Scott, we've had fuel mileage races, and now I think a couple of these guys are thinking about that, getting these cars topped up. As we're back to too wide again, as we get ready to start them up, we got Vernon Margam on the outside. We'll start on the pole, or start on the outside in the first position. Justin Michael on his inside. Christopher Campbell just behind in the Tabasco machine. Charles Widener in the Lowe's Silver 95 Camaro. We'll start in fourth. Rod Minton will start in fifth, and Matt Rodoloso wraps out your top six.
Can you guys move me?
Oh,
yeah,
sorry
we'll
about that, Charles.
We'll get you back down there.
There you go.
Just what Charlie needed to be distracted as he's about to start a race. Got the two of us knuckleheads up here talking.
We get the easy job, I guess. Vernon Margam, your race leader. Old tires. He says, heck with the tires. I don't need them here. Gonna make you pass me the hard way here. And the CDC Waterworks Haley Manufacturing Chevy Z01 coming off turn number 4. Pace car ducks to pit road. Geico restart zone coming up from the flag stand. Here's the green flag. We're racing. Lap number 18 going on the board here at Homestead, Miami. Christopher Campbell with a little loose on the restart there.
Yeah, I think Vernon stacked them up a little bit, kind of made everybody wait till the last minute, and everybody was all hyped up, and then that's what caused that stack up there. So Vernon Margheim out there up front trying to trick everybody, but Justin Michaels having none of it. Says, okay, buddy, man, you're going to drive like that? I'm going to go around you. At least he's going to try. Down on the inside, Justin Michael on the inside, trying to get that position back away from the 33 Camaro there of Vernon Margheim.
And he does. We'll see if he clears them off at turn number 4. Gonna be a tight fit, but he does it. Justin Michael back to the point here at lap number 19 going on the board. Christopher Campbell, really racy tonight. Good to see Christopher up here and racing for second spot just behind Vernon Margheim.
Oh, and you called him out there, Scott. You jinxed him, as they would say, but he got a hold of that thing. He's back to driving, so he's going to lose a bunch of positions, though. He's headed to the back right now, down on the apron. If doesn't want to cause an incident. Oh,
still changing his pants while he's trying to drive at the same time. I don't know if it's a good combination, but he's does a good job of keeping the front end facing the front and staying under green here. Back up front. Man, hats off to Vernon Margheim for keeping pace here with Justin Michael and keeping track position up in second spot.
Back behind him, we got 4 wide, and yeah, the John Deere, Greg Mull trying to get back up front there. I think just goes around, makes it 4 wide, goes around Johnny Hamby in the 7 car, and they got that sorted out. Right now, Eric Talent just behind the 70, back there in about, looks like the 10th position right now, trying to make the pass on, it looks like JJ Garrett. No, that's, what car is that, Scott? What am I looking at? The 86 of Andre Savala.
His teammates with Vernon Margheim, so those paint schemes look similar, but that's the 86 of Andre Savala on the outside there. JJ Garrett with the momentum up the inside. Looks like some problems up front. Matt Rodoloso gets in the wall off turn number 2, well off the pace here. Gets it collected as people go 3 wide. He's still in the wall trying to figure it out. Probably bent a tire out or 2, if I gotta imagine.
Yeah. It's getting crazy back here. I'm still back here with Jeff Gilmore on the inside of Eric Talent. Still battling for this position up here, 8th and 9th. Looks like Eric Talent is not wanting to give up this position at the moment. JJ Garrett just behind them in that Caterpillar car.
Whoa, still guys, JJ getting sideways.
Oh. Another close call for JJ. I don't think we're anywhere near grass at this point. I think he needs to do that on the front stretch.
Remember, he mowed down the grass at, what was that, Texas, I think, right? Mowed down the whole front stretch and then parked it in the wall.
Texas, and there was another track, too. I think it was Kansas. That's every time we put the cameras on JJ Garrett, he likes to cut the grass. Maybe he should be in the John Deere car.
All right.
Meanwhile, Greg Mull working on the outside of that 33 car of Vernon Margheim. Rod Minton had gotten by. Rod Minton now in 3rd, so having a strong night, Rod Minton. Johnny Hamby now looking at the inside of the 95. Can't quite make it stick down there. There you go. 95 moves up the track a little bit, allows that 70 car to get underneath, and Johnny Hamby give that position to the man.
Johnny Hamby up here started 6th and up to 3rd right now, making some spots.
Yeah, he actually started 3rd, Scott. So he had a great qualifying.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not sure what happened, how he ended up so far back there in the opening laps, but moving his way back forward at this point.
Wes Holland with down the inside here, making some moves, trying to get on the inside of Charles Widener. It looks like that right front has kind of healed itself somehow there through the miracle of iRacing.
He's got a heck of a pit crew there, Scott.
But Wes Holland nonetheless back up to 7th after that, being involved in the first incident with Jeff Merck, Hurricane Merck as they call him, down the backstretch on lap 2 or 3 there in the beginning.
Yeah, and this is a great battle here. I'm still on Wesley Holland and just ahead of them. And still got Hamby trying to get her on the inside of the 33 car, Vernon Margheim right now, who has kind of been slipping back. He started with the lead, and well, he's on older tires. So Vernon Margheim at this point is probably trying to hold out for a caution, but he goes up high. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to this too much longer. I think he's just cooking those tires off at this point.
There we are on the back side of that 70 car of Johnny Hamby. You can see just the kind of slight difference in the line, and the throttle management here is going to be huge. As it gets a little bit loose off of turn 2, has to check up just a little bit, and Wes Holland seems to be letting off a little bit earlier in the corners, and then trying to carry the momentum off the corners a little bit faster. Up top, 3 wide here off turn 4. Vernon gets stuck in the middle there. Phew. Great shot off there, turn 4 there.
I think Wesley Holland's looking at these two. He's like, one of you guys need to make up your mind, get out of my way. I'm ready to go up front. And we see now Johnny Hamby again trying to get around that 33 car. I think Johnny Hamby's trying to be ultra respectful. He's not in the chase. He's kind of new to the series, only run about, I don't know, 10 races thus far. But I think he's being uber respectful with that 33 machine at this point in time.
I think so too. If you're Wes Holland, Ken, do you, at what point do you kind of put the pressure on? What brought the seat down the front stretch here? If Wes is willing to make it 3 wide, he does. Pulls to the inside of these 2 cars. Down to turn number 1 to see if he can make it stick. Johnny Hamby looks like he backs off just a little bit. Wes Holland does a nice job of sticking it right to that white line on the bottom.
Yeah, I thought you were about to ask me what you would do if I was Wesley Holland. I know what I would do. We see Jeff Gilmore get loose. He's down on the apron, but back on Wes Holland. Yeah, I know what I would do, but what Wes Holland would do would be just go for it, man. He'll make a hole.
Yeah, coming through. Collecting spots here. Wes Holland picking up 4th spot around Vernon Margheim. Ooh, just barely clears that bumper.
Yeah, Vernon trying to do the over and under, I guess, and didn't quite work out. But Vernon's doing a great job. Like I said, he hasn't pitted, and so he's got 30 laps on those tires. So we'll just have to see where the fuel window is at this point. Vern is kind of our gauge. However, we've got, maybe 7, 8 caution laps that we'd have to add to that. So I think Vern could go probably at least 35 laps.
Yeah, I think you're right. But like I said, if we don't get a caution here in the next few laps, Vernon could find himself in quite the predicament here.
Our leader, Greg Mull, he's driven that thing back up front. So he slipped way back. He was one of those guys on the first pit stop that took 4 tires. And it looks like those 4 tires are starting to pay off as he's running away from his teammate. Got about a second lead on Justin Michael at this point. And you got to bet, though, Scott, that Justin Michael's seeing that. And I think Justin either took no tires or 2 tires. And Justin's going to know that tires are kind of important here, I believe.
Think so, but we'll see if that gap closes at all in the second half of this fuel run coming up. Right now, 3/4 of a second separates your leader, Greg Mull, from second place, Justin Michael. Wes Holland, 2 seconds back. We'll see if Wes can maybe start to close that gap as well now that he's free of all the traffic.
Yeah, and Wes is on fresh tires as well. I think he took 4 that last time by, so he's on probably the freshest tires of these 3. Looking a little bit further back, we got Johnny Hamby. Looks like going around the 92. He's going to pick up that 4th position, so give it to Johnny Hamby. Just behind him, Vernon Margheim now is being passed on the outside by that 92 car of Rod Mitten for 5th. Vernon holding the bottom there, gets a better entry into that corner there. Rod Mitten has to take another look and maybe try to get on the next corner.
Here comes Rod with a little bit of momentum. Looking on the inside for the crossover down in turn number 3. And try it the opposite way.
Anybody that's raced Vern knows that he's a tough guy to pass, so Vern's going to make him work for every penny. As I see Vern get a little squeamish there, a little loose, but stays in the gas. Got the 57 car of Jeff Gilmore trying to figure out who's going to be the fastest guy through right now, and the 57 has chosen that 33 car to follow.
Riding on board in the front bumper right now of Jeff Gilmore. There's Rod Mitten on the inside. It's kind of a tricky spot to be in. You know that Vernon's going to be probably slightly slower, but you got to take the line when you can get him. Try to split the difference. Come down the middle of the track. Maybe pinch Rod a little bit off to kind of screw up his exit. Does a great job there. Keeping the car going straight, not getting too loose. Next victim, Vernon Margheim up front.
Yeah, I think Vernon is the victor on that. I think Rod Mitten is going backwards. I'm not sure if he's got those tires a little hot and worn the rubber off them, what's going on, but it seems like Rod Mitten is going backwards at this point.
Speaking of going backwards, the opposite of going backwards is going forward. We got to talk about Wes Holland. Cut that 2-second lead down to a 1.5 seconds now. We'll get maybe a bigger shot so we can try to see what that looks like. Can't quite see Justin Michael in the front view there, but there we can see him. Down to 1.5 seconds, down from 2 seconds a couple laps ago.
Yeah, and just behind Wesley Holland, we got the 70 car, that John Deere, Johnny Hamby out there. Someone's showing some oval skills out there tonight, staying in contact with that 41 car, that Ford Mustang of Wesley Holland.
Notice
Just
the red
looking back.
banners. If you're just joining us for the first time in a few weeks, we got red banners. You can see it on West Holland's car there. The front splitter, the rear spoiler, and the front windshield all red, indicating they are a playoff contender. There's 8 of them left on the track tonight.
There's a battle for 16th right now. Mr. Excitement, J.J. Garrett out there in 15th. And you got Christopher Davis in the Doritos car. Just behind him in the 38 car has been attempting to get by him. Kind of backed off right now. See J.J. Garrett running up high. Christopher Davis down low, trying to get the run on the bottom. Can't quite get enough momentum there. He's going to tuck in behind. So Jack Watts, I believe he spun on the first lap of the race. Currently sitting in 19th. He's back there battling it out with, the 75 car, Wally Turheimer. Wally gets a little loose there, and that allows the 77, that chrome Budweiser machine, to get by.
There it is. Wally doing a great job down the middle of the track, eyeballing this hornet's nest in front of him, trying to figure out the fast line around. Right now, completing our top 20 right now is Wally. Started in, where'd Wally start?
Wally started
14th.
He beat me to it. I'm watching the 79. You know, it's always, I always enjoy watching the 79. JJ Garrett back there in 15th. Every time he comes off turn 2, I guess it is, he's loose, very loose, almost goes down to the inside wall there, and starting to give up some time. I think the cars are getting a little free out there with 35 laps into this, so be interesting to keep our eye on Vernon Margheim. Probably be the first guy to on pit lane.
Right now back here, JJ is side by side with that 6 car of John Stepanich, trying to make that work. Well, look, let's go cockpit view on JJ off this corner number 4 this time. Watching the steering wheel, pretty straight, pretty under control that time. As I'm sure you probably heard, Ken, Vernon Margheim, I believe, pitting this time, had enough of these tires and needs some more fuel. We're trying to follow Vernon as he comes to pit road.
Yeah, this isn't the easiest pit road to get on either. Scott, you're going pretty fast, and these cars have always been tricky to get on the pit lane compared to the last generation cars. So we'll see how he does it here as he gets that thing woed up to, I believe, pit lane speed is 45 miles an hour.
I believe
50.
so.
It's 50.
There he goes.
So he's down to 50 miles an hour, and I'm sure he's taking 4 and a couple of cans of Sunoco here.
Back up front, Greg Mall. See where he is. We just lost our cameraman there, but Greg Mall, and yeah, look at that. Wes Holland has passed Justin Michael, and so is Johnny Hamby. It's interesting. Watch Justin Michael go backwards here in the second half of the fuel run, but nonetheless, these guys making some good progress up front.
Yeah, I wonder if Justin Michael's thinking we're going to get a green flag race again, and he's got the fuel mileage figured out. Because I think when I interviewed Justin Michael last week, he was talking about this track and how much he liked it. So I find it very interesting that he's moving backwards at this point. Anyway, for the lead, you got Wes Holland looking on the inside. Greg Mall there. Both those cars a little squirrely. Can't quite get the runoff. We'll see what he gets going into 1 here. See if he can outbrake him into 1. Down on the low line, you see that 41 go. Greg Mall up all high on the outside. I believe the 41 is going to carry enough momentum to get by Greg Mall. Meanwhile, just behind Greg, we got the 70, that John Deere machine, Johnny Hamby looking for that second position now.
Closing in. Time's ticking down here. 42 laps on the board. Greg Mall and Justin Michael having a harder time on the tires than is Wes Holland and Johnny Hamby. Hats off to Johnny up here. Oval racing up front in the top 3, looking for more spots. Inside of Greg Mall, down the front stretch. See if we can make a move down low here on the inside of Greg Mall.
Yeah, I think he's been putting in a little bit of time here, Scott, if I had to guess, and it's paying off. You know, practice makes perfect, and I think Johnny might be getting the hang of this thing. And this is more of a driver's track. Cars are a little ill handling here tonight, and I think those road course guys can really maneuver these ill handling cars better than anyone sometimes.
Here's our camera work here. We're looking at Greg Mall actually wheeling live here as Johnny Hamby passes him for second spot down the front stretch.
I'm looking very close there at his camera view there. I'm looking to see tears. Yeah, he's wiping his eyes, so must have been some tears there.
Poor Greg.
They just giving me the business there on Discord there. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so Johnny Hamby obviously gets by Greg Mall. Greg Mall now behind his teammate, that 87 car back there in fourth right now. I imagine we're going to be seeing pit stops here in the next couple of laps. And that's going to be music to Vernon Margheim's ears because he's back there one lap down right now. He does not want to see a caution. He's not even in the lucky dog spot. JJ Garrett is. We do see guys coming on to pit lane. JJ Garrett was on pit lane. Let's see, David Schreck on pit lane. David Schreck actually exiting his pits. And it looks like Andre Savala exiting the pits.
Looking for the pass for the lead up front. Give it to Johnny Hamby. Slide job into turn 3 and 4. Just barely slides in front of Wes Holland here. Doing a great job on the bottom side. What I noticed, if you notice the two driving lines here, Ken, Johnny Hamby and Wes Holland with the lower lines, and it seems like the bandit guys are Wes Holland and Greg Mall with that mid to high line through the corners. It's kind of a distinct difference, but it seems to be that low line is working very well for Johnny Hamby.
Yeah, it's interesting too because, you know, I'm kind of spoiled. I like to run the middle. It's almost like a New Hampshire line in some respects. At least it used to be. You know, you're not quite on the bottom, but you're not up high either. So anyway, Johnny Hamby slowing way back down, gives a position to the 41 car. Johnny Hamby headed to pit lane. So our leader now
Greg
is
Mall behind him as well to pit lane.
I imagine these guys are going to take 4 tires in fuel. We got the, let's see, I'm just looking to see 95 car of Charles Weiner also headed to pit lane or on pit lane.
Back in front, Wes Holland through turn 3 and 4. We'll see what kind of moves he makes this time, if he's coming to pit road or not. He's got 31. Actually, I think he's got more time to go here. He's got 31 laps on his tires compared to Justin Michael, who's coming in this time. Justin has 38 laps on his fuel window here.
Yeah, and you got James Hearns out there right now. He's going to inherit the second position. James Hearns, if you remember, is one of those guys that topped off the tank on that very last lap. So this is some of the guys that can go an extra lap or two, and that's probably going to allow James Hearns to lead a lap at this point.
Yeah, James Hearns is pretty much on the same strategy as Wes Holland. James Hearns, I think, like you said, came in to top off his tank, so he's got one less lap. 31 laps compared to 32 laps of Wes Holland up front.
Just behind them, you got Rod Minton and Christopher Davis as James Hearns is way off the pace there on those old tires. You can see him splitting it. James Hearns is going to be the meat in that sandwich. Christopher Davis is his teammate, goes by on the outside. Rod Minton, those two guys are still racing each other. James Hearns says, you guys can do that. James Hearns way off the pace. I think those tires, he's giving up a lot of time right now. I imagine we'll see him on pit lane. I don't even think he's going to be able to lead because he's so far off the pace.
I think you're right about that. 9.5 seconds going to 10 seconds off the pace of Wes Holland out front, who stays out for another lap.
So it'll be interesting. You know, Wes Holland's got a little bit of that damage. You can see the pace difference there as Eric Talent comes by to get one of his laps back. Got Vernon Margheim back there now. Vernon Margheim looking to get, I believe, one of his laps back. Yep, that's correct.
You see this from the roof of Wes Holland's car, just how fast, especially in the middle of the corner, from the center off. Those guys with new tires, of course, Wes Holland comes to pit road this time, slows it up, and does a great job on the pit road entry, but...
So I'm being told by Bandit Racing that Discord cameras are awesome. And then said Justin Michael wasn't his best track. I guess that was reference to me during his interview. I thought Justin Michael had said that this is one of his better tracks. So I've been proven wrong, I guess. Well, that isn't the first time. And then Bandit asking if Hamby is a Chad Little fan with the John Deere paint scheme. I have no idea.
I remember the Chad Little days. 97 John Deere car.
Anyway, we got Wes Holland headed off pit lane right now as he hits the apron right now. We'll see where he comes out in relationship to everyone else. I seen Justin Michael has already gone by. Rod Minton now going by, and it looks like JJ Garrett will get by before he gets back out on the track. So he's going to give up a bunch of time, but he's going to have the freshest tires out there.
going to be one of those kind of complex races to call here and keep track of, as the fuel windows are different. The strategy is a little bit different. If this thing stays green, as we're just about halfway right now through this thing, if it stays green, we may not know who's in the best seat until the checkered flag falls. It could come down to the last drop of fuel here, as we saw was the case the last couple of weeks.
Back up at the lead, Johnny Hamby is leading this race, so great pit stop out there leading this thing. Pretty much came in with the leaders, so on the same strategy, almost the same strategy. I don't know, you're right, Scott. I think it is going to be difficult to call when we get towards the end on who's on what tire strategy, but right now, Johnny Hamby currently in control of this race with Greg Mall right behind him.
There it is. We'll check out lap times here in a second, kind of get a good realistic view of what kind of lap times these guys are putting down. Trying to follow Wes Holland back in 10th spot after that pit stop. Of course, he gave up a ton of time on the older tires, but now it's going to be the time where he can start making that time up. 6.7 seconds off the lead, up to 9th already. I'm sure Wes Holland's going to be one to watch through the traffic here.
Yeah, and if you remember, he started basically one of the last cars on the lead lap early in this race, so we know he can run it back up front. Greg Mall, I'm just looking at my timing and scoring. Now I'm showing Eric Talent up there leading this thing. So Eric Talent and Werner Margheim 1-2 up there.
Yeah, Eric Talent's on the same fuel strategy as Werner Margheim, both with 15 laps on their tires, as they become victim very quickly here to Johnny Hamby coming up to them on the backstretch.
See Johnny Hamby look on the inside of that 5 Ford Mustang of Eric Talent. He's going to take that position away easily on that 15 lap difference on tires there, and Greg Mall following him through on the inside on the front stretch there.
There it is. Eric Talent has no choice but to give that spot up, but he knows he's got to know with some discipline that he's on that different pit strategy. Got to stay focused and know that Werner Margheim is really the one that he's fighting with here.
You know what I love about this, Scott, is we got kind of a new driver up there, and we're used to seeing the familiar faces up front. So as a driver, what do you think when you're running with somebody you really haven't ran with before, and they're up there running up front with you now?
It's kind of my initial thought is you got to give them a little bit more room when you're racing them, because you don't know exactly how comfortable they are. But on the other hand, somebody like Johnny Hamby, who's done a heck of a job with 0 mistakes so far, as Greg Mall looks to his outside here in turn 1 and 2, you can almost race them nice and close too, knowing that everything that they've shown so far has been super respectful racing, and he's been able to hold his line continuously on the bottom lane throughout a tire run. That alone, to me, speaks that he has got a ton of discipline when it comes to tire wear and being able to know the limits of the car, keeping it on the bottom side.
Definitely. So looking at Eric Talent here, he's now starting to lose. He's drifted back to the 5th spot, just behind him. In 6th is Rod Minton. I shouldn't say just behind him. It looks like Wes Holland has gotten by Rod Minton. Yep. And move Wesley Holland up to that 6th position. So Wesley Holland trying to charge his way up to the front here.
There's the roller coaster ride that Wes Holland has taken so far, as high as 1st, low as 28th. And working his way back up front in 6th spot. Remember, we talked about that 6.5 second deficit that he had coming off of pit road. Now it's down to 3 seconds, so cut it more than half. Wes Holland marching to the front.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the number 9 car, that Coors car of David Schreck out there. Currently almost in the top 10, in 11th, coming under pressure with Jeffrey Merck. Jeffrey Merck did a header into the wall earlier this race. Got a lot of damage on that Toyota Camry, but trying to make his way back up into the top 10 there with a pretty severely damaged machine.
Yeah, nonetheless, great run for David Schreck, trying to crack the top 10 here in the Coors Extra Gold car.
And I don't know when Dave Schreck last pitted, but could be an explanation as to why he's starting to lose positions at this point. It could be on an older set of tires. I don't really know.
Yeah, 15 laps on his tires compared to the Justin Michaels and Greg Malls of the world, 11 and 12 laps on their tires.
Well, we're over halfway, Scott. We got 49 laps to go. I'm doing some quick math in my head. See, they need to go another 20 laps at least. Well, yeah, 20 laps around. And when was Justin Michael last in? How many laps ago?
11 laps ago. So that would be lap
that's right on the edge.
49.
That's 30 and 30, 31, 30. I think that's It means he came in with 60 to go, so that pretty much splits the difference. So I don't know, it might be close. And if you remember what Wes Holland did the previous week, he didn't. I forgot he did the right thing on fuel, but it cost him. I think he lost a bunch of positions last week, but he was safe on fuel.
Gaining spots, though, did we miss, I think, the pass for the lead up front? Justin Michael to the point, right? Am I wrong in saying that Greg Mall was leading this thing?
Yeah, you're right. I was busy jaw-jacking about somebody else and missed the whole change for the lead.
Let's see if we can find. There's Justin Michael on the bottom of the screen there, fighting the wheel to the lead here. Lap 61 on the board for Bandit Motorsports. I know the captain's watching. Chris, if you're out there, we got cameras going.
I know who else is watching. Had to park early. Jason Hughes. I don't know, Jason, what's going on tonight, man? Why aren't you out there? You're 33 laps down. What happened to your car tonight? Let us know in the chat.
He says the 70 looks good, says Smoke. It does. Good to see new faces up front. Johnny Hamby, last time around with 33.5. Greg Mall and Justin Michael put down 33.3. So Johnny Hamby maybe just losing a little bit of pace here on the second half of the tire run.
And you know who isn't losing pace, and that's Wes Holland. So Wes Holland is picking up the pace. He's about 2.25 seconds off the lead right now. Let's see if he made up any time this time. He did. He made up a quarter of a second that time by on our leader, Justin Michael.
Yeah, but I'm kind of watching that interval close. And when I talk about the interval, I mean the rate at which he's able to put down faster laps, right? We saw in the beginning he came off pit road about 6.5 seconds off the leader of Justin Michael and Greg Mall and those guys. Now he closed that pretty rapidly down to about 3.5 seconds, and now he's kind of stuck at that 1/10 of a second lap mark. Last time by, Wes Holland with 33.7, Justin Michael with a 34 flat, it looks like. So about 0.2 faster for Wes Holland, but not as rapid of a closure rate as we saw in the beginning of this tire run.
Yeah, well, right now Wes Holland is trying to get around Justin Michael's teammate Greg Mall in that 7 Miller unfortunate car. Does get the pass done on the outside, gonna set his sights on Johnny Hamby, who did get by Greg Mall. So those two are battling all night. I think it's a Greg Mall, Johnny Hamby situation, but right now Johnny Hamby in second. Wes Holland looking to take that away as we head down the front stretch here.
Wes Holland sets his eyes on Johnny Hamby up in the John Deere car. Ooh, Johnny gets a little loose off of turn number 2.
And we see that 41 car look to the outside again. He's done this before, up on the outside, looking to take that away from Johnny Hamby. Johnny Hamby's pretty strong on that inside. That's where Johnny Hamby likes to run. He's been running there all night, but Wes Holland might have the momentum coming here on the front stretch. Kind of got to close in on that quarter panel. See if he can get the advantage, and he does. So Johnny Hamby looks like he just gives it to him. No sense fighting you yet. I've got, looks like 42 laps to go. I'll see you again.
There's Wally up there. I think Wally's got to be a lap down in 19th spot for the Dutch Bros Ford Mustang.
So what we're going to want to watch here, Scott, is when we get down here with about, see, we're 42 to go and another 10 laps. This is where we're going to really want to watch. See if anybody has to head to pit lane, because if anybody heads to pit lane with before about 31 to go, they're obviously in trouble, and then we'll know who's going to make it, so to speak.
31 to go. Correct me if I'm wrong, if my math is right, Ken. I think that's lap 76, right, on the board? 76 would be 31 to go?
Sure. Don't ask me to do math. I've been drinking.
Let's call it 76. Right now we're on 67, just the opposite. So about another 9 laps here. Anybody stops short of 9 laps, we're thinking the fuel window may not be enough to finish this with just one more stop.
I'm toasting you right now, Scott, with the good old glass of Guinness here.
There you go.
Helps me do math late in the race. I really loved our calls at Charlotte. We really nailed all those pit stops. That was hard to do, but knowing who was going to make it and who wasn't, that was pretty good. So I still, I'm living off that momentum there. Hopefully I can do it again tonight.
Speaking of momentum, Wes Holland, half a second now, narrows it down, continues to run faster laps. Last time by, Wes Holland with 34.27, Justin Michael with 34.47, 0.2 faster still Wes Holland trucking to the front here. Shouldn't be long before we see him challenging for the lead.
Yeah, I would say just about another 2 laps there. Wes Holland is going to be all over the back bumper of the 87, unless the 87's been saving something, waiting for Wes to catch him and then see what he's got. Because we'll have about, looks like about 9 laps before everybody's safe to make it the rest of the way. So we'll have to see what happens here. 8-9 laps to settle this out, see if who's going to make it, who's not.
Down the front stretch, good camera view there from the inside wall. Wes Holland down to turn number 1, closing ever still. Last time by, wow, 5/10 faster than Justin Michael. Closed right up to the bumper.
Yeah, and there he goes. He's going to look to the inside here. Got a heck of a run there. He's going to look to the inside here going into 3. See, gets that car under there, just goes up there and takes it right now. Very strong move by Wes Holland.
Side by side off turn 4. Johnny Hamby watching the action. Back in 3rd spot there as Justin Michael almost scrapes the wall off turn number 4.
Yeah, Wes Holland's getting so much better into the corner right now. I got to wonder, you got a cockpit view there at Justin Michael. I wonder if he's saving fuel like he was last week.
We can do that. Let's go cockpit view on Justin Michael this time. Down the backstretch at turn number 3. No clutch in it. Just kind of off the gas nice and easy. But notice the line difference. We talked about how well that line was working earlier in the race for Johnny Hamby. I think Wes Holland is kind of mimicking that line from what he saw. Wes Holland running so much lower than these guys of Justin Michael. Watch Justin drift up here. As I say that, of course, Wes Holland goes high, but majority of the time he's been running that low line there. We'll see what let's see what Johnny Hamby's doing just behind Justin Michael. See how his line varies here as we go into turn number 3 with Johnny Hamby.
Yeah, just behind Johnny Hamby. You got the 111 car, John Henderson right now. He's a lap down, looking to get back on the lead lap, so I think he's on a little bit fresher tires, it looks like. John Henderson, you'll see him enter the picture here just behind Justin Michael. Trying to get by these guys. He is in the lucky dog position. Should a caution come out. We got 35 to go. This is where we're going to see. I'm kind of keeping my eye on pit lane to see what happens here as they go by. And I already hear a driver calling out that they're headed to pit lane. That'd be Werner Margheim, and I think that's going to be a 2-stop deal for Werner Margheim if he has to come in now.
I think you're right with another 34, 35 laps left to go in this thing.
And did Werner Margheim pit with our leaders? Do you have that available to you there, Scott?
No, Vernon has been off of the pit sequence. Oh, he locks him up on the pit road. Hopefully got down to that pit speed limit of 50 miles an hour there. Last time, well, Vernon's been off of the pit sequence ever since the first yellow flag.
That's
when
right.
he stayed out. So
yeah, I forgot we haven't had another caution. So yeah, tough break. That's what happens when you roll the dice. We're not even at Vegas.
Johnny Hamby here in 2nd spot, 1.1 seconds. We'll see if that gap continues to open up. We know that Justin Michael is running slower laps, but Johnny Hamby last time by with 34.7. Wes Holland with a 34.7 as well. Identically matched as Johnny Hamby again showing that discipline on that bottom line there, rolling through the corners nice and smooth.
Yeah, 33 laps to go. We got the 77 now. Jack Watts calling out that he's making a pit stop. We see him get on sideways onto the pit lane there. He was about in 14th, Scott, when he locked that thing up, getting on pit lane there.
There go the leaders by as it comes up on the 12 car there of Trenton Drum with the new paint scheme. Usually he's in the Tide colors, but sporting some new colors here today.
So I'm hearing a lot of drivers call out their pit stop, so I think we're in that window now. Scott, 32 to go. It'll be 31 next time by, so it's where a lot of drivers are getting in the safe zone. We got the 38 and the 86 on pit road. That would be Christopher Davis and Andre Savala. Then we have the 20 on pit lane. That would be Calvin Miller, and there's somebody else, but I can't make it out here. That would be the 13th of Matt Rodoloso. Not the 13th, but the 13th.
There they all are. Something to get Calvin a paint job, right? He's one of the last ones out here with.
Yeah, that 20 car is in desperate need of help. That looks like a Hamby edition right there.
Lap 77, you called it, Ken. 76 was kind of that magic pit window as that pit window opens up and everybody, not saying everybody, but a large majority of these cars heading to pit road. It's a busy spot to be.
Yeah, I think at this point, as I see another car duck off in the pit lane there, that is the 12 car of, geez, I don't know who that is tonight there, Scott. That's Trent Drum.
Trent Drum coming down pit road. David Schreck's on pit road. Smoke, I think, has been on pit road for quite a while.
57 pitting this time, 57 pitting.
57, you heard it there. Jeff Gilmore, I turned the iRacing chat on so everybody can hear their drivers call it pit road.
Well, at this point, I think everybody can make it, whoever stayed out now. So as they hit their pits, it looks like they're good to go on fuel.
92 this time.
I can hear Rod Mitten calling out that he's going to be headed, giving up that 5th position to head to pit lane here.
Charles Widener, we talked about earlier, coming to pit road this time by 30 laps on his tires. So yeah, 30, 31 seems to be that pit window, which we're well into now. As Wes Holland gets to the very bottom of the racetrack, kind of clips the apron in turn 1 and 2.
70
Yeah, Johnny Hamby, I thought he was running Wes Holland down there, but Johnny Hamby's now in some lap traffic, so kind of giving up some time to Wes Holland. Johnny Hamby currently running a solid 2nd right now. Gained about a 2.5 seconds on Justin Michael as we see him head to pit lane there. Gets the car a little sideways. Looks like he's going to get it woed up nice and smooth down to that 50-mile-an-hour speed area.
All these guys, Rod Mitten, Charles Widener, Jeff Gilmore coming out on pit road as Johnny Hamby's coming inbound.
Imagine we'll see our leaders here next time by. I'm not sure about Holland. He likes to stay out a little bit longer, but Holland's been running the tires off that thing, so can't imagine he's got much more fuel than Justin Michael, so we'll see. Looks like Wes Holland down low. Yeah, he's staying out. So
78 pitting this time. 78 pitting this time.
Looks like that was
Justin
Hurricane
Michael
Merck on pit road and Billy Bumgarner, playoff contender we haven't talked much about.
Yeah, Justin Michael and his teammate, the 7 car of Greg Mall, now on pit lane. Wesley Holland still out there. That allows Wesley Holland to get a little bit more time. Wesley Holland had about 3.5 seconds on Justin Michael when this pit sequence started. So Wes Holland can afford to give up a little bit of time on these older tires, and I think that's his strategy. Stay out there, you know, for a little while longer, and that'll allow the people like Justin Michael and Greg Mall to catch back up to you. But he'll have fresher tires when he does make that pit stall.
Let me ask you this, Ken, though. Under that strategy, though, if Wes Holland stays out much longer, we're kind of approaching the point where he's going to give up a ton of time, like you said. But then once he gets his fresh tires, unlike this last tire run, he's only going to have closer to maybe 2/3 to 3/4 of a pit run left in this race to actually make that time up. So could he end up running himself out of time with too large of a gap to make up, you think?
No, I don't. Normally I would say yes, but we watched Wes Holland come up through the field that last run, you know, from about 10 spots back. So I think Wes Holland has got this place nailed tonight. We'll see. I imagine he's going to be on pit lane either this time or the next time by, though. I don't think he can stay out too much longer.
Think so, too. In the chat there, Bandit Racing 28, and that's Chris back there, captain of Bandit Motorsports, says, cameras look good, fellas. Gives us a thumbs up, Ken. Ken, I'm going to throw you on the board there. There you are on the leaderboard. There's your thumbs up, Chris. Cool. Wes Holland staying out again, lap 84 on the board. Coming up to, looks like 23 to go.
Now, I am starting getting a little nervous about Wes Holland's. Oh, there he goes. So he is headed to pit lane this time by. I was starting to get nervous. I was like, maybe he is going to stay out a little bit too long. Like, come on, Wes. You need to bring that thing in. Of course, now Wes is running with a little bit of damage. So, you know, he's going to need tires because that car is a little bit aero messed up. Gets sideways, so trying to get in there hot. And looks like he's going to get that thing wound up to 50 miles an hour and get his 4 tires to get back out there.
Pitting if you got somebody within 2 seconds of you.
Wes Holland down pit road. Should be interesting to see where Wes comes back out on the racetrack in relation to our leaders, which is going to be Johnny Hamby, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and Wes Holland got a warning from NASCAR about his pit entry there. They weren't too happy about the way he entered the pits, but I think he's going to survive that. It was just a warning.
Here comes Johnny Hamby down the front stretch. I'm sure he's going to pass the parked car. There he goes as he waves to Wes Holland on the way by.
But it is a lot of time, Scott. You might be right on this one. Boy, Wes is going to have his work cut out. I think he's going to be about 5-6 seconds back.
All right, everybody behind me, pass me low.
I'll have to check next time I get my timing and scoring loop here.
Here's Wes off pit road right now. There goes Justin Michael, Trent Drum, Wally Tierheimer. I think those are lap cars, but you see Justin Michael up there. And let's see, Wes Holland coming out with a 6-second deficit to Johnny Hamby, which is about what he came out with last time. But like I said, about 3/4 of the run left now. We did see him pass for the lead and open up a gap with some laps to spare, so pressure is on, but now he's got the added challenge of several lap cars in front of him.
Yeah, and it looks like those guys are racing just ahead of him, but Wes Holland knows no bounds. He'll split the middle if he needs to. And Johnny Hamby being so strong tonight, you know, you gotta... I think you're right, Scott. I don't know if I would have given up all that time, but I'm not going to count him out just yet. I think Wesley Holland still might have something in the tank for these guys.
I'm going to give Wally a shout out here as Wes Holland comes up on Wally. I know if Martha's watching out there. Let's see if we can get...
11 bit this time. 111
there's
bit
Wally
this time.
driving. Gives us a thumbs up, Wally. I don't know. You probably can't hear me or see me,
I'll
but
give you the
nonetheless,
high
on board with Wally Tierheimer. Lap car here running in 18th spot. First car lap down in Lucky Dog spot.
I'm watching Wesley Holland track up through these lap cars. He's going by the 70 car there, or the 75 car of Wally, I believe that is.
Wesley Holland hard off turn 4, looking to the outside of Justin Michael. Couldn't quite make it work that time, but let's see where Wes goes this time. We know he's pretty comfortable there on the inside as he takes that mid-track line. His lap number 88 goes on the board, a Ken Conley tribute lap. Godspeed, brother.
Godspeed, Kent.
Down to the inside, turn 3. Man, that's got to be frustrating. I'm sure you've been in these predicaments too before, Ken, where somebody on different pit strategy with fresher tires passes you at towards the end of the race, and it's got to be frustrating because you know that that's all you got, right? That's all the cards you have in your playbook, and all it is left to do is to watch that gap increase in front of you there.
Yeah, you made your bed, and that's kind of what you have to deal with at this point. You know, Justin Michael knows that Wes Holland's got those fresher tires now, and is probably going to be able to beat him off this next corner here. And yeah, it is frustrating. And at this point, you see Justin Michael making a strong run on the outside, but Wes Holland's been so strong down there in the bottom, been able to dive it in there, keep it on the bottom as he sets his sights now on Justin Michael's teammate Greg Mall and the Miller Fortune there. And Wesley Holland did make up some time on our leader Johnny Hamby, so made up about a 1/4 second since last time we looked, at least last time I looked. So he's got to get by these teammates here, and then maybe he's got a little bit of open racetrack there, see if he can run down Johnny.
Watching on board right now, watching Greg Mall race live on TV on the bottom of the screen there. Trying to hold off the position of Wes Holland again in the same predicament that Justin Michael is in. Watching him knowing that he's faster on fresher tires, and the end of this race is approaching just 15 laps from now.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if any more times made up on Johnny Hamby here as they exit turn 3, I think it is right now.
Johnny Hamby is entering 3 right now, and there's the interval back to Wes Holland in the middle of the backstretch and coming up on 3 right now. Still trying to make his way around Greg Mall, trying to avoid losing too much time, and that's probably costing him at least a couple tenths, if not a couple full seconds there as he gets caught with Kerry Cleaver on the outside there, lap car.
Yeah, now Wes Holland's going to get by Greg Mall, I think, this time. Greg Mall was using Wes Holland's line there, and I think he was holding Wes Holland up there. Kind of a smart move by Greg Mall, especially since all these guys are playoff contenders. Trying to keep Wesley Holland from getting back up there and maybe winning this thing, I think. But Wes Holland kind of seen what Greg Mall was up to and backed it up a little bit and got a run on that corner and was able to easily get by on the following.
Now the clear track in front of Wes, 4.8 seconds with just 13 laps to go. We'll see if he can close that gap up. If my math is right, that's a good 3 tenths per lap. 4.6 seconds last time. If he can knock it down to about a 4.3 this time, then we'll know he has kind of a shot at Johnny Hamby. Otherwise, Johnny could be sitting in the catbird seat coming off turn number 4. Watching that interval close. There's a 4.3. Darn, this is going to be close, I think, Ken.
Yeah, the other thing is you got to wonder if Johnny Hamby might be saving a little bit of tires there, maybe not running as hard as he needs to. So thinking that he doesn't want to cook the tires off that and really fall back really fast. So it's really hard to say what's going on with Johnny Hamby, but I guarantee you that Johnny Hamby's got his relative up right now, and he's looking at that gap change, and he's doing some math in his head right now. And really what he needs to do is settle in and focus and drive that thing.
I think you're right there. As we look out front of Wes Holland, I think that third car up there is the leader of the leader of Johnny Hamby.
Yeah, Wes Holland made up another big chunk of time there. God, I want to say that was a half a second there, Scott.
Yeah, that was a big one. Down to 3.7 seconds now, as you can see on the leaderboard to the left. Last time by, Wes Holland with 33.5, Johnny Hamby with 33.8. About 3/10 that lap, which, when I did the rough math, is exactly what Wes needs. But we also know, as Darrell Waltrip always says, catching is one thing and passing something else.
Very true. And that 70 cars looks strong all night, and I guarantee he's hungry for a win. He's been running this series for, like I said, about 10 races now, kind of getting the hang of things, and I think he's starting to find his groove. And so I have a feeling that Johnny really wants this thing, and so I imagine the nerves are starting to get a little frayed right now as he sees that 41 start to close in his rearview mirror.
Down to 3 seconds. Last time by, Wes Holland 4/10 faster, almost 5, closer to 5/10 faster than Johnny Hamby. If you do the math, 3 seconds. If he can hold on to an average of 5/10 per lap, is 6 laps, which brings us to lap 103 with 4 laps spare to make the pass. Looks like it's working in Wes's favor.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say when I said you were right, you were wrong. Wes is writing them down. No.
It's not very often. You might as well write it down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like a broken clock. I'm right twice a day.
Right.
Speaking of clock, man, looking at Greg Mall. Greg Mall back there having a solid third. His teammate back there in fourth. Greg Mall, we're going to Martinsville next week. So Greg Mall, he won this season at Martinsville. Kind of having a solid night tonight. And I think, let me see where he is on the chase side of things. So he is in ninth. Yeah, he didn't make the cutoff. So I forgot about that. So I was thinking he was still in the chase, but having a solid night out here tonight.
Yeah, but going to his track next week, which he collected the clock, the victory, an actual clock that was mailed to him from Kim Quick in the league, and he won that race with no pit stops, if I remember right.
Yep. There's no pit stops. That's correct. I was thinking there was no cautions. Like, that can't be right. We're talking about Martinsville.
10 laps to go up front. Interval continues to close, 1.8 seconds. Here's where the math is easy. 10 laps, 1.8 seconds. It's just under 2/10 per lap.
Yeah, and he's been doubling that. So, about 5-4 to go. Like you said, Scott, he's going to be letting Johnny Hamby know he's there, and Johnny's going to have his hands full because Wes is no stranger to victory lane. He's no stranger to forcing his way there, I guess, is what I can think of for tonight.
Let's go back in the field a little bit before the end of this race. Shout out to Rod Minton here, rounding out the top 5 on the race here. Playoff contender. Down the front stretch here, this battle here is 5 seconds off the lead of Johnny Hamby. And then behind him, I'm sorry, that was 11 seconds. I'm mistaken. 11 and a half seconds off the lead. And then behind him is Charlie Widener. There he is in Lowe's silver car there with the pink rims. Charlie's in 6. Vernon Margheim on that pit strategy. We're not sure that Vernon can make it to the end of this thing. We think he's going to have to pit one more time, but nonetheless running 7th right now. Jeff Gilmore, where's Jeff? There he is, running at 8th. This is 17 and a half seconds off the lead. And Jeff Merck, Hurricane Merck, cracking the top 10 here, 21 seconds. And then Christopher Davis rounding out the top 10 right now, 28 seconds off the lead. As we go back up front, it looks like the battle is heating up here. Less than a second, Ken.
Yeah, you mentioned Jeff Mark. I just wanted to give a shout out. You know, after that header he did in the wall, out there running in 9th right now, doing what he needs to do to stay in this thing. So hats off to Merck there, staying in this. So yeah, Wes Holland just about a half a second now behind Johnny Hamby, closing in fast. Johnny Hamby's now going to encounter some traffic there as he approaches the back of Jack Watts there in that 77 Budweiser car. You can see Johnny Hamby's probably going to look to the inside here going into 3, and does. And Wes Holland is going to be there next time by, I'm sure.
He's got to take a lot of discipline, even on Wes's part. You know, you got the faster car, but sometimes it's easy to kind of squeeze that pedal just a little bit more, knowing that that lead is right in front of you. But you got to have that patience, knowing that you've got all of 5 laps to go. It's a long time around this 2-mile racetrack.
Oh, yeah, Wes Holland had to check up big time there. Way strong in the inside of that corner. Wes Holland had to check up because Johnny Hamby was a little bit slower getting in that corner. That also lets Wes Holland know where he can beat Johnny, so he also can revisit that next time by.
It's exactly what I was going to say. Sometimes that's comfortable and sometimes nice to know when you run up on a driver like that. You're like, oh, kind of put that in your pocket. Maybe for the next lap as he maybe sets up a run here off turn number 4. Takes the high side, gathers some momentum. Maybe for the crossover. Does he take it 3 wide with David Schreck on the outside of the lap car?
I think the 41 machine used a little bit of patience there, Scott, so very impressed. Now I think that they got some clean track in front of him. Wes can concentrate on what he needs to do with 4 to go here. 3.5 actually, so we'll see if Johnny can do some really good NASCAR mirror driving here, or focus on what he needs to do.
There goes Wes floating to the inside. Side by side off turn 4. I think Johnny is going to have the momentum and probably the best spot off of turn 4. We'll see if he can make it a challenge. Down to the stripe 3 more times around. Johnny Hamby side by side for the lead here. Wes Holland looking on the inside, knows he's got the better tires. What does Johnny do as Wes probably clears him off of turn number 2? He's got no choice but to kind of cross over and fall back in line. It's going to be a heartbreak for Johnny as he gets loose off of turn number 2, probably in frustration on the gas pedal.
Yeah, I think what he wanted to do, and I do that too sometimes, run high and then run down the track, try to get some momentum back on the inside, but ended up getting loose instead. And you can tell that those tires are getting old. 2 to go. Freaking Wes Holland is leading this thing. Johnny Hamby in second. Greg Mall in third. So those are your top 3 currently. Justin Michael out there just about a second behind his teammate in 4th. We have 11 cars still on the lead lap, so a solid run by everybody tonight.
Wes Holland, I remember talking about him in the starting grid. I think you mentioned how much of an issue he's been having in qualifying. Where did he start tonight? We said it in 14th, right? If I'm no, started 16th.
Yeah, way back there.
Yeah, this time off turn 4. Wes Holland, 1 more lap to go. Looking for the white flag. We'll see if we get it from the flag man. Oh, well, he doesn't wave it, but there's the white flag.
Yeah, I'm not even showing a white flag on my my prompt here, Scott, so yeah, I hope it's a white flag.
It is this time by. We're just looking for the flag man to wave it, but we'll probably get it this time by for the checkered flag. Wes Holland looking for win number, 6 or 7 on the season.
That might be a lucky guess. And I'm going back to take a look.
Well done.
This time by.
Wes Holland crosses the line in first. Sorry about that, Scott. And then we've got
really.
Johnny Hamby back there. Solid run in second. Greg Mall crossing the line in third.
Nice job, Wes.
Justin Michael in 4th, I believe.
Yeah, so you were asking me about wins for Wesley Holland. That was 5 wins on the season. So I was actually trying to look that up. That's what got me screwed up there.
Run, boys.
I think he's got the win stickers on the car there.
Good.
Going for a closer look. Yeah, it looks like 4 stickers on there. So he's got 5 total in the season, right? This will be number 6. Is that right, Ken?
Yeah, this will be number 6.
Nice win, Wes.
So Wes is back, letting everybody know we're, I don't know what race number this is in the playoffs, but it's the second one of this series. So Wes Holland currently sitting 3rd in points. He's going to add to that total tonight with Jeffrey Merck having a bad night. Imagine we'll see Wesley Holland 2nd in points now going into Martinsville.
Absolutely. Wes turning on the heat when it counts. Just 2 races remaining. Martinsville in the season finale in Phoenix, which of course we announced last week. We're going to have Dr. Dick Bergeron right next to me in the booth, along with Ken here. Hopefully if we can make it all work. Should be a fun afternoon for these guys. Something special. We're going to try to hook up. And Wes Holland putting them down when it counts with a great pit strategy, executing from the start, starting at 16th, moving all the way through the field for win number 6 on the season. We'll be right back here with standings and interviews coming up.
All right, folks, we're still rounding up our drivers here as we get ready to do our race interviews. I guess, Scott, maybe we can start with the third place finisher of Greg Mall as we wait to track down our winner. Yeah, awesome race here. Greg Mall finishing. So top 11 cars finished on the lead lap. Christopher Davis was the last car on the lead lap. So strong run. David Schreck, I mentioned him earlier, finishes in 12th, one lap down. So David Schreck did a good job tonight. I think we have our drivers now. Scott's ready to, we can start our interviews.
I am. Let's start with third place of Greg Mall. Greg, it's Scott Patton up here in the booth. Third place finish for the Miller Misfortune car. But talk to me about how the race was and how frustrating and how was it going through the pit strategy with tires throughout that long green flag run there?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting race in terms of a strategy perspective, because it's just this car, you get a few laps on the tires and all of a sudden it just wants to start snapping loose on you at just some pretty unexpected times. So you just kind of get a little bit of a feel for it in terms of when it might step out on you, and then try and anticipate that move and make the exit as straight as you possibly can off the exits of the corners. And just managed to keep it going in a straight line, managed to keep some decent speed going on into the run. And happy to work it out in third and take that podium spot tonight for sure.
Certainly, with 3 wins on the season. Remember, one of those came at Martinsville, which we're going to next week. What do you got for Martinsville? Looking forward to another clock weekend or what?
Hopefully we can get 2 clocks, but I don't know about that. But Martinsville should be a good time, though. Definitely one of my favorite short tracks to go to, especially NASCAR weekend with Cup, Xfinity, and trucks. Definitely going to be curious to see if the strategy happens to change in terms of whether or not we can do the same strategy we did in the spring race. But curious to see if the setup has changed any over the season at that particular track. You know, with all these tracks that we've been to repeat times this year, noticing that it's just been driving a little bit differently as years progressed. And definitely looking forward to next week, though.
Certainly, and talk to me, Greg, about unfortunately just barely missing the cut on the playoffs a couple rounds ago, but looking forward to these next 2 races, Martinsville and Phoenix. I gotta imagine all you're looking for is wins on the season, is that right? And how does your strategy change, if it does at all, with that in mind, knowing that you're not points racing, we're not racing for a championship trophy, but we're looking for clocks and trophies, winning trophies. How does that change your strategy at all, or does it?
Yeah, we're just kind of playing with house money at this point, you know, with missing the cut after the oval race. It was definitely unfortunate to see that happen, but had a little bit of a rough week last week in Vegas with getting a speeding penalty there during that particular race. But with 2 short tracks coming up, I feel like we got some decent speed at both tracks. Just gonna have to, we're going for at this point is some wins and some spots in victory lane there. So I feel like we can get pretty fast and loose in terms of strategy, kind of like we did at Martinsville in the spring, and just try and see what we can do to maybe get ourselves out to a different strategy than the rest of the field, and see if we can find up in victory lane both times coming up here.
Sounds good. Looking forward to seeing maybe that Miller Fortune car in victory lane with 1 of 2 races to go. Of course, Dr. Dick Berggren joining us for the last race. That should be a fun one in Phoenix coming up. And anybody to thank for another podium finish for the Miller Unfortunate car?
Well, can't go without saying the guys down at Bandit, with Kerry, Merck, Justin, and Wally down there. We had a good time tonight for sure, and hopefully the fans that are back home watching and all their support, this is definitely a fun race. Definitely being on the razor's edge there with this particular setup, and definitely put on a show, I hope, for the guys that are watching. And with you, Scott, and you, Ken, up in the booth, it's hopefully looking back on this broadcast with the Discord integration, that should be a fun sight to see, hopefully. But and then also with Patented Paints, making an awesome looking number 7 car that we bring to the racetrack each week.
Sounds good, Greg. We look forward to seeing you next week at Martinsville, the shortest track on the circuit. We'll see you until then. We'll see you next week, Greg.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Congrats there, Greg Mall, and we're going to bring up who's second. Your boy there, Ken. Here's Johnny Hamby for you.
Well, Scott's saying I'm your boy. I don't know about that. You seem pretty talented out there tonight. Kind of watch you at the start of this race there, Johnny. You kind of fell back. What happened at the opening laps there?
I went in for tires on that first caution, and so I went back to about 12th, 13th out of the front, but quickly was gaining them back. I think that started the whole sequence of Wesley being on a different tire strategy than like Justin and then me and Greg, and that's where he was catching me at the end. But yeah, it was just I got tires instead of just fuel.
Well, it was a great second place finish. So I noticed that you're also in a sponsored car tonight. That John Deere 70 car looks really great out there. And the previous races, I think you got about 10 races with these oval guys now. About at this point, kind of seemed like you're finding your sea legs, or did your sponsor tell you to pick up the pace?
The sponsor was because half the time I end up mowing the grass in these things.
Well, for you.
But I was just talking to Wesley about this. You know, I used to, growing up or recently watching these road racers go into NASCAR and be great on the road courses, but not be able to keep up on ovals. I never understood it. But man, this is such a different animal. It's such a different art of driving these cars. I'm starting to figure it out, but I understand why those people had a lot of problems now.
Yeah, well, another thing, and I was mentioning during the race to Scott, that this track and this setup, and I think you heard it from Greg Mall during his interview, was kind of difficult to drive. And I think that's where road racers really find their way, is when a car is really difficult to drive. Were you experiencing kind of that edginess with these cars tonight?
I honestly was, especially with getting tires early, and I was figuring out the fuel from there. With getting tires early, I honestly was babying them. I really was just sort of taking it easy on the bottom, trying not to use them up. It really served me well. But Wesley being on that other strategy, he would come back before every pit stop. But we were just talking about it. That last stint was a little shorter, and I really was like, okay, I got to run the hell out of this thing now. And I probably burned him up a little bit, but I don't think I was going to hold him off one way or the other on those tires.
Yeah, I was worried that Wesley Holland might have spent too much time out on the track and gave up that 6-second lead to you, but ran you down in a hurry. But when he was 6 seconds back there, did you think he was going to be able to catch you that quick?
I knew it was probably going to be close. I mean, I had seen what tires do from my perspective, and from him coming by us, the other two pit stops, the other two cycles. I knew he was going to come fast. I just didn't know mine were going to fall off that much. I might have run them a little too hard early, trying to get more of a lead. But, either way, those tires were so important. I don't believe I would have ever held them off.
Well, next week we're going to another track where road racers seem to do well, and that's Martinsville. Have you spent any time at that place?
I've run it a little bit, modifieds, late model, stuff like that. Yeah, I know it's usually good for us that know how to brake well, so I might give that one a shot too, and just make sure I'm not, out of the way of the guys that are shooting for a championship.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to stay out of the way at Martinsville. We hope to see you there next week, and hopefully you get some time in. And you got anybody you want to thank tonight? I believe this is the first time you've been up here in the booth with us during the interview.
Man, you know what? Just thank you for finding me in the iRacing wasteland, pulling me in here and running with you guys in the road courses and learning, a lot of these guys in the ovals, and starting to establish a lot of friendships that I'm just really enjoying running these things week in, week out, and whatever we're running. Thanks for you and Scott for everything you do. Stone River Outfitters for sponsoring. I know it's a lot of work for everybody involved, so thanks to y'all.
Well, thank you, Johnny, and it's been a pleasure to have you. So much good luck to you in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Ken. That's a Wednesday, right?
That applies to Wednesday, except for you gotta let me win. The rules let me win.
We'll see. Bye.
All right, man. Talk to you later. Congrats on that second place finish.
Thanks.
There it is, Johnny Hamby. It's good to see some new names up on the leaderboard. And of course, one not so stranger to the leaderboard is our race winner, number 6 on the season, Wes Holland. How talking about the race, a green flag run that seems to fit into your wheelhouse there with saving tires and whatnot. But talking about the discipline that it took to run 6 seconds down, both pit stops under green, being 6.5 seconds off the lead, and then having the discipline to work through traffic, knowing that you had probably the best car out there on the long run. And then how was it like watching that interval close on Johnny Hamby on the last stint there?
Honestly, I mean, this is the first time that just staying out and maximizing a fuel run actually worked out for me. Usually I come up just a little short there at the end, but had a mishap there on the start of the race. Everybody checked up on the outside on the initial green and caught a minute and a half worth of damage, so kind of put me in the back. So I just kept coming in and pitting and getting that repaired. So once we got all that repaired, just kind of fought our way back through the field there, and noticed that they were pitting, 4 or 5 laps earlier than what I had to, so I just stretched it and did the same thing I always do when it comes to a green flag run, and just maximize the fuel load out there. And somehow those 5 laps were just enough there at the end to come back there and pass Johnny there. He did a heck of a job staying in the lead. Thought for sure he was going to be able to hold me up, because by that time I had ran it out, so it was starting to get super loose, and figured all it took was him to block the bottom a little bit more than what he did, and he probably would have held me up. But somehow we pulled it off and got another win chalked up here.
Certainly win number 6 on the season as things wind down in the championship here. Talk to me about it a little bit in the race, working through lap traffic. A racetrack like Homestead, I'm sure you know probably more than I do that there's multiple grooves out there. Was there a preferred groove on your side of the story? We saw Johnny Hamby kind of running that low line the majority of the tire run. It seemed to be saving him a lot of tires compared to at least the Justin Michaels and Greg Malls of the world, but you kind of ruined that strategy for him and had the better outcome of the race. But talking about working through lap traffic, was it difficult to work through different lines and pick the one that you were most comfortable with, or what?
I was definitely, lap traffic's always hard at any track you go to, and Homestead's kind of a better track for picking and choosing a line to get around lappers, but you definitely wanted to be on the bottom, and you got out of that bottom groove. It was kind of hairy off the corner. You had to watch the throttle response, so definitely had some close calls there, trying to get back through lap traffic, but it all worked out. So plenty of room at Homestead to maneuver around.
Yeah, certainly a good track like that. Next week, we look at Martinsville, which is kind of the opposite. Not much room to maneuver around through lap traffic. I'm sure there's going to be plenty on the shortest track of the season. What do you got for him at Martinsville next week on the chase?
I just need to finish. I mean, that's plain and simple at Martinsville. It's kind of a crazy track, so a lot of stuff can happen. That's the final race before the cut to 4. So finish, try to stay clean as you can. So just gonna work hard to try to get a good finish and get out of here and on to Phoenix.
Sounds good. We'll get some updated stickers for you this week. I was telling the other guys, I don't know if you got wind of the word out this week, but Dr. Dick Bergeron's going to be joining me right next to me for the season finale at Phoenix. So it should be a fun one. I'm sure you're going to be a contender there for that championship. I had a great time racing with you last year for the championship. That was a heck of a race there. And I think, if I remember right, you were dominating that one. I had nothing for you until things kind of turned on the pit stop strategy about halfway to 3/4 of the way through that thing. But I know you're going to be super, super competitive out there. What do you got anybody to thank for win number 6 on the season?
Just everybody over here in the league. Put this on every week. You guys up in the booth, putting on an awesome broadcast. And just my buddies, Bad Apple, everybody watching me, my dad back at home. So
sounds good. We always love your father when he joins us in the chat. And you got anything for him, Ken?
No, congrats on that win, Wesley. It was a lot of fun watching you run up front. I got a question. What's up with the qualifications lately?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, my specialty.
Did you just give up? You decided to start in the back every night?
No, that's not giving up. That's just trying too hard. Overdriving my skill level is what it is.
At least you get it out of the way during qualifying and not during the race, I guess. But
yeah, true that.
All right, Wes, number 6 on the season, and congrats from myself and Ken Huber out in Montana, and looking forward to seeing you next week at Martinsville. Have a safe week. We'll talk to you then, Wes.
Appreciate it, fella.
All right, there it is from the 2 mile. I think it's a 2 miles. Is this a mile and a half or 2 mile?
I think it's a mile and a half.
Mile and a half. I think you're right.
Tired.
Yeah, let's go through. Whoops, that's a starting grid. We don't want to see where West qualified again, do we? Let's look at the results here. West top of the board, Johnny Hamby, Greg Mall, Justin Michael finishing 4th. Rod Mitten making a good run, running up top 5. Charles Widener, Vernon Margheim on that pit strategy. Looks like he must have made it without that last pit stop, Ken, on that really long last run.
Must have been clutching it or something that entire time to make it.
Yeah, Jeff Gilmore, Hurricane Mark cracking the top 10 there, and Billy Bumgarner, the Gatorade car, running at the top 10.
Yeah, you'll have to read the next set there, Scott. I don't have my standings up right at the moment.
All right, let's see what we got. If mine is not giving me issues here. Christopher Davis, last car on the lead lap in 11th. David Schreck, 12th. Jack Watson, 13th. Andre Savala, teammates with Vernon, in 14th. Calvin Miller, from one of our Canadians out there, in 15th. John Henderson. Wally Tierheimer, we saw Martha in the chat. And somebody else rooting for Wally, I believe. And Trent Drum in 18th. Kerry Cleaver, 19th. And John Stepanich rounding out the top 20. As Mr. Holland says, thank you very much, gentlemen. Had a great remainder of your evening. Always good to see you, Mr. Holland. 21st, James Hearn, Eric Talent. 22nd, Matt Rodoloso. 23rd, Steven Cigars. JJ Garrett, Mr. Excitement, 55 laps down. All these guys had issues. Michael Milfeld, didn't see much of him, unfortunately, tonight. 26th, Jason Hughes. 27th, Christopher Campbell. And, there I am in 29th, even though I didn't race. But Joe Marks rounding out the 30th.
How did that happen?
I think I joined the race instead of watching it.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yep. So there it is, Ken. From Homestead, we saw a heck of a race with a little bit of early action from Hurricane Merck, but came back to correct top 10. We saw Wes Holland put together a perfect strategy by qualifying mid through the pack and working his way up very patiently with damage early on, but fixing that and overcoming it. So victory number 6. What do you think, Ken, for the race overall?
Yeah, that was a great race. We had one caution, obviously, and the cars were actually kind of a little bit ill handling. I went out there and ran some practice laps, and these guys held it together just for that one caution. We've seen a couple guys get sideways. We've seen JJ Garrett, Jack Watts, a couple guys get down on that inside lane, but everybody held it together really well tonight on a difficult night. But speaking of difficult, next week we're at Martinsville, where anything can happen. It's almost like one of those plate races where you're leading the chase. Somebody like Justin Michael leading this thing, and although he might be safely in it, I don't know. I'd have to do some math, but it's always a risky place sometimes.
Certainly is, and that's a wrap from Homestead here from the 1.5 mile. Win number 6 on the board for Wes Holland, doing a heck of a job here. Next week, looking forward to more action from Martinsville Speedway as we narrow it down to the last 2 races, Martinsville and Phoenix. Don't forget to join us at Phoenix. Dr. Dick Bergeron joining us in the booth. That's going to be a super, super fun one, and looking forward to that,
Yes,
Ken.
it will.
Yeah.
I am too. I hope I can be here.
I hope so, too. It's going to be a fun one with the 3 of us calling the booth. And we are going to leave it at that until next Monday at 8:30 Eastern Time. Same bat station, same bat time from the Multi-League Racing Network. On behalf of myself and Ken Huber, thanks everybody for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hope you enjoyed the action. We'll join you next week from Martinsville. Have a safe week, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Drivers, start your engines.